Mabuhay! We are Team 11 from the University of the Philippines, Diliman, and we are going to share the story of SM, a dream built on 10 cents. Now let me ask you a question. What if one day all you had to your name was a meager 10 cents? What would you do? This coursed through the mind of 12-year-old Henry C. as he tightly held onto the 10 cents he had left, bid goodbye to his war-torn home in China, and by himself boarded a boat that would bring him to greener pastures in the Philippines. For years, C would sell items on his bike by day and go to business school at night while managing SM, still a shoe store at that time. C carefully curated SM's business model to be scalable for his long-term vision, and this, coupled with his diligence at work and dedication to his dream, enabled his 10 cents to grow into an annual net income of 45 billion pesos, and his one small store into the giant empire SM is today. But despite its landmark success, SM's story isn't one without its own roadblocks. At present, SM has its stake in almost every industry imaginable, but the focus of our case today is retail and malls. Globally, the retail industry's alarming decline has forced malls to shut down as they struggle to compete with the rise of e-commerce. But the total opposite can be said of the Philippines, where mall occupancy rates are at 88%, even with the onslaught of COVID-19. This makes for an interesting case, and to understand how SM's maintained its stronghold, one must appreciate the strategies it took in the past, its operations at present, and the plans it has for the future.
To be flashed on screen are the milestones of SM throughout its history. SM's inception can be traced all the way down to 1958, when Henry C. first ever brought SM to the eyes of the public in the form of a humble shoe store. Since then, the company has snowballed into the giant it is today, with immense growth in revenue and total floor area, as shown here. In 1985, Henry C. did the unexpected. After political figure Ninoy Aquino was shot dead upon landing, Filipinos led the EDSA revolution as a means of protest against poor leadership and rampant corruption. Still, C remained unfazed and set up the first ever shopping mall in the Philippines, even choosing the unconventional location of a marshland. Despite criticisms, C was already one step ahead of the public, and later proved to be victorious given the immense foot traffic of the mall. In the year 2001, Henry C's next big move was to take SM internationally, and his first destination was China. However, rather than choosing prime locations such as Beijing and Shanghai, C's location of choice was in the small sub-province of Fujian, with high poverty rates and low purchasing power. But by doing so, C entered the market uncontested. As jobs were generated for the local vicinity, purchasing power increased, and SM Xiamen started to slowly turn in profit, and now boasts a 100% occupancy rate. 2006 marks the next important point in SM's history, when SM constructed the SM MOA, a lifestyle complex that houses all the amenities shown on screen. SM MOA is one of the most visited commercial districts in the country, churning in an average of 200,000 visitors each day, and creating 26,000 jobs in the process. This is a true testament to the brand's positive impact on the local scene. In 2013, the 4 business units of SM shown on the screen merged into the largest conglomerate in the Philippines, overtaking Ayala Corp, its top competitor. In the same year, SM launched the ADR Level 1 program, allowing international investors to trade shares of SM. This not only diversified the shareholder footprint, but also allowed SM to compete in the global market. We are proud to say that SM is a prime attraction for foreign investors and continues to proxy the growth of the Philippine economy.
With the rise of SM as one of the leading conglomerates in the country, we can point to distinct factors that contributed to its success, namely an established vision with risk management, strong corporate governance, and a carefully diversified business portfolio. Henry C. once said, "Opportunity is where you find it, not where it finds you." SM has a record of investing in hidden opportunities. This began in 1985 when C saw the potential of the Philippine market as demand for goods and services increased. The same goes for his decision to expand in Fujian, China, because he experienced firsthand the limited access to commodities growing up in the area. C was brave enough to take the risk of being the first to meet consumer demand in these places. Once he envisioned the plan, he immediately took action, which allowed for a first-mover advantage. This translates to brand recognition, customer loyalty, and rapid expansion, as seen by the 72 malls in the Philippines and 7 malls in China today, all because he knew how to turn problems into opportunities. With the growing purchasing power of consumers following the rise of employment rates, people start to look for possible investments. Spotting this, SM structured its corporate governance to adhere to the ASEAN Corporate Governance Scorecard, which has principles consistently embodied by SM, proven with the awards received by 10 SM companies throughout the years. Because of this, SM is now listed as one of only 30 blue-chip companies in the Philippine Stock Exchange, which can reflect stockholders' trust in SM to grow their investments and to maintain its position as a market leader. This also allows the company to easily raise capital to fund future projects as a result of maintaining its corporate integrity. It is known that different consumer groups have different demands. While its competitors, such as Ayala Malls, respond by targeting specific economic classes, SM responds by focusing on diversification through market segmentation. As an example, they positioned SM MOA Lifestyle Complex near the Bay, where consumers are looking for leisure and relaxation. The largest mall, SM North EDSA, is also placed strategically along the busiest avenue in the country to accommodate the fast-paced environment in the metropolis. The brand always considers its customers in its decisions, thus allowing it to achieve market dominance and to retain customer loyalty. These factors transformed SM from a small shoe store to the largest conglomerate in the country today, not only in numbers, but also in the eyes of people.
And those are just a few of the reasons why SM is able to become the leading Philippine company among Forbes Global. Now, as a business continues to grow, it has problems to face. Here we have 10 potential challenges of SM in the coming years. Let's focus on the 3 challenges on the left: e-commerce, natural disasters, and CSR. To analyze better, we'll be looking at the 5 elements of each challenge. They are customer, cost, competitor, compliance, and capability. Nowadays, e-commerce is growing rapidly. People can now buy anything in just one click. But that is not good news for SM that operates 72 malls across the country. With its reliance on brick and mortar, shifting online would be costly due to the additional logistical expenses. Competitors such as Lazada by Alibaba and Shopee by Garena are further present. Nonetheless, SM recently acquired a major stake in To-Go, one of the largest logistics companies. Also, it has adopted a clicks-to-pick strategy in their website, shopsm.com, that enables customers to shop online then pick the items up. We therefore recommend SM to further invest in this strategy. They can also devise an operational plan for payments and deliveries, because what they currently have is not so user-friendly yet. The next challenge is natural disasters. Each year, the Philippines is ravaged by an average of 20 typhoons that force people to stay at home. Now, for a retail enterprise like SM, they lose their major source of income, the rentals of tenants. Other than renovating destroyed buildings, SM has to devise new income-generating strategies. Moreover, SM is expected to be a responsible mall developer that organizes relief initiatives. People expect the company to help the community during such times. SM Cares then comes in handy, as it acts as a social-civic arm of the company. We suggest SM to expand to e-commerce, for it is not only the future of retail, but also a safety net against external factors, especially during this global pandemic. Another is to partner with companies who have dominated the e-commerce industry. This lowers costs while giving SM the room for flexibility. Now, the last challenge we have is the expectation for corporate social responsibility. CSR is defined as a company's commitment to manage the social, environmental, and economic effects of its operations responsibly. Its benefits include a positive business reputation and increased customer loyalty. However, CSR programs cost SM more. For instance, since the start of COVID-19, SM has already donated to over 50 hospitals. While it is clear that CSR competes with the other priorities of SM, it could also add value to the company if it is properly planned and executed. There is also pressure from its direct competitors such as Ayala, whose CSR effort is recognized in the industry. Unlike SM, Ayala is shifting from the charity forms of support to more strategic programs such as community leadership and livelihood trainings. Now, through the years, it has not been an easy journey for SM, as the company has faced several controversies. Among them are its expansion project to Baguio City and its land reclamation project to scale up SM MOA. Thus, we recommend SM to reallocate its budget for environmental research and development. Another suggestion is to realign the corporate responsibility strategy of SM to make sure that it creates a lasting impact on the society.
Our goal with this case study is to inspire entrepreneurs all over the world to keep on their toes for opportunities and to stay motivated no matter the circumstances. SM may have challenges like adapting to e-commerce, coping with natural disasters, and meeting expectations for CSR. But through its excellent vision, style of corporate governance, and diversified business portfolio, it has persevered time and time again. SM demonstrates the ability of the Philippines to compete in the global stage, and that no dream is too big to achieve and no
1
obstacle
minute
is too
left.
difficult to overcome. As a strong Asian brand with vast potential, SM is a symbol of hope and power, one that shows the rest of the world that Asia truly has so much to offer. Thank you for your time, and we are now opening the floor for your questions.